Hello, everyone, and welcome. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to have a conversation about venture investing and how the wealth and power of women can significantly influence and change the world we live in. Historically, women have been less visible in investment circles, but that's shifting rapidly. Women are not only joining the ranks, but they're leading and winning. Let me set the stage for the current landscape of venture capital. Today, women have 52% of the wealth. By 2030, American women are expected to manage at least 30 trillion in wealth. Women return 34% more for investors. Women VCs return more. And yet, women only receive 2% of venture funding, but return more to their investors than their male counterparts. Investing in female entrepreneurs at the same rate as male entrepreneurs could add an estimated 2 trillion to global economic growth. Those figures are promising, but we still have a long way to go. I am Amy Dawson. I am a part of How Women Lead Silicon Valley Board. I'm also a limited partner in How Women Invest VC, and I'm a founder of Keene Park Ventures. I also lead the New Table campaign, which is focused on changing the inequity and bias in venture capital by getting 10,000 women to commit to investing in venture capital. We have partnered with the Nasdaq Foundation to inspire and educate women on investing by providing resources and tools that support their investment journey, including LinkedIn Lives, podcast episodes, blog posts, and content. Today, I am lucky to be joined by Alissa Livingston, AVP Finance Strategies and Initiatives at Saks Global. She is a fellow limited partner in the How Women Invest VC and serves on the How Women Leads New York Executive Board. Nice to see you, Alissa.
Nice to see you, Amy.
Before we jump in on our discussion, I would like to share with you the How Women Leads Credo. The Credo really infuses everything we do as an organization, and it's quite a culture change for many women. So there's 4 parts of the Credo. The first is to be an advocate for each other. The second is to say yes and helping and connecting with each other. If she asks you for an introduction, make your first reaction to be yes. Men naturally do this, and women can be more successful if we do the same. And we ask you to reinforce her voice. When she speaks up and isn't heard, be her megaphone, amplify what she is saying, and ensure that she gets credit. And lastly, the 4th part of the Credo is the most important. It's about you. It's about going out there and being unabashedly visible. Build your LinkedIn, build your thought leadership, build your network, build your brand. Network as part of your workday. The old ways of women being invisible are over. There's nothing indelicate about standing in your growth and your power and owning your voice. So we're going to move to the Q&A, and I want to have a conversation with Alissa to inspire more women to get involved in venture investing and really demystifying the process and leave you all with the tools you need to begin your investing journey. So, Alissa, let me start in the questions here. You, as I know you, my friend, have had an incredible corporate career, and now you're actively investing in women founders. What sparked your curiosity about venture investing, and why was it important for you to say yes in the director of your journey?
So, Amy, we are colleagues in investing, which I'm so excited about. I got the idea to be an investor a long time ago when I was in business school. I won't say how long ago that was, but the idea was planted then. It took quite a bit of time for me to actually act on that idea. For me, what I needed was knowledge and proximity to collide. In business school, I learned all about venture, as well as other types of investing in business, growth, entrepreneurship, all the things. I had a general understanding of those concepts. And then I was also close to venture investing. As an alum of Columbia Business School, I would get offers, whether it was an email, an event, to become a limited partner in a venture fund. But these weren't people who were close to me. Women in my network, trusted women, became limited partners, and I became curious. I said, "Wait a minute, what are they doing?" The more I talked to them about it, the more I learned I had a knowledge gap. In business school, I learned the mechanics of the cap table and how to create a valuation, but I didn't learn that women founders only receive 2% of venture funding. I wasn't asked to calculate the addressable market that would never be addressed by solutions crafted from women's perspective, because if they couldn't get funding, they weren't going to be able to offer that to the market. So then my knowledge became very specific. And through these trusted women, I gained specific proximity to how women lead. How Women Lead gave me access to not only the people I knew, but a whole network of other women who were actively investing, who were actively addressing this need for women founders. So my general knowledge became specific knowledge, and my general proximity became very specific. The call to action for investing in women was very clear. And so it was obviously time for me to act.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think you're hitting on so many points of experience that other women have in terms of exposure. But I love how you talked about knowledge and proximity and the opportunity for those to come together, which leads me to my next question, which is around why do you think it's so important that women approach investing as a community and not as a solo mission?
The obvious answer is because it's fun. It's so much more fun when we hang out together, Amy.
It sure is.
It there are a couple points that it's nice to put into words and put out loud so that people think about this. So first, I would say we learn faster when we learn together. If you're a woman who's put 10 to 20 years into your corporate career, you've learned a lot in community with your colleagues, maybe education with your classmates. So you know what it is to put that community time into learning. The concepts or the things that happen in investing or venture are hard. It's just that they're not common if you are in a traditional corporate role. You just don't come across
Mhm.
those things very often. The things that feel like they're different or new, you can learn very quickly if you are with other women who are learning at the same time or who can teach you. I would say the second thing is that this particular ecosystem of women is very welcoming, collaborative, and inspiring. That might be something that is different from your corporate or academic experience. You may have been in environments that were a lot more competitive. You may have been in environments where you didn't have a community of women. You had a community of people who weren't necessarily like you. So it didn't feel as welcoming. But that is not the case in venture. If you haven't experienced that, that's another reason to come and learn in community. The other important thing is that capital or money is not the only currency here. Women need other women to thrive. So community becomes the other important currency in venture. And then I think I said it was fun, so there are conferences, there are retreats, there are workshops, there are happy hours. I mean, when women need to get things done, we know how to do that in a fun way. So, I would say those
Yeah.
are the most important reasons to come join the community and do this together.
Yeah, it's so true. I remember in a prior corporate role going to a VC meeting with a lot of VCs. This is just within like 10 years ago, being the only woman in the
Right.
room. And the first time I went to a How Women Lead and How Women Invest event, I was shocked to just
Yes,
be surrounded with people like me with similar experiences and the
exactly.
relief of not being the only one in the room and
Exactly. There's
having
so many, no
conversations.
longer the
Yeah.
only one, so many.
And just like everybody loving talking about investing and the opportunities out there in the market. So, with that, it sounds like finding the right place, but I wanted to know if you could share any internal roadblocks that you had that held you back from becoming an LP, even if the opportunities were right there in front of you. You touched on it a little bit, but I'm wondering if you could share what shifted you and how other women can learn to reframe the story they may be telling themselves as well.
Yes. So, I am just like everyone else. I had a story, I had a crutch that allowed me to get off the hook from acting for a while. As I mentioned, I did have some opportunities come my way, and I do remember the first time I had an opportunity to invest. It was a fund run by a man, but I had 2 young kids. They were in private school. They're still in private school. I live in New York, which is a pretty expensive city.
Mm.
At the time, I thought, "I'm interested, but I have a lot of responsibilities, and what if I make a costly mistake?" So, there was that fear of the risk, and I had a feeling that maybe right now is not the time to do my due diligence to make an informed decision around a new risk. And so that opportunity passed, and then another one came up. My kids were a little older, still in private school, still living in New York, still going after that next job promotion, felt busy, 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 and the next opportunity came, and that same fear and doubt was there. So I grabbed my handy story, too busy to do my due diligence, too risky to do this right now, and that story was my easy go-to crutch for quite a while. Until I started to see women who I knew. I knew them personally, so I knew they were busy. I knew they had lots of responsibilities. But when I saw that they were able to make that next step successfully and enthusiastically, it made me have to reexamine my story, and it made me have to finally confront the facts. And the facts were I'm smart. I can make time if I want to make time. I can ask questions and get a real understanding of the investment risk. I can evaluate if now is the time for me to add something new to my portfolio. And everything was fine. The fear was gone, and I was able to retire my story. So, if that resonates with anyone out there, I would say on the other side of it, yes, there's always fear, discomfort, and uncertainty. But one of the opportunities here is it doesn't have to delay you from engaging in the community and starting to learn, starting to ask your questions, starting to figure out how to get past the thing that is the most uncomfortable or scary for you.
I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. My friends, this is the first generation of us. We have a huge opportunity. We have power and influence and wealth. And we can start building the tables where we get the prime seats. Today, we want to invite you to join us as investors in venture. I know no one's asked you to do it before. It might be something that seems scary or foreign, but I promise you it's not that different than investing in a mutual fund where your retirement funds are. I want you to lean in and just learn a little bit more. How about making the commitment that in the next 12 months, you can give yourself 12 months to figure it out and to take a step. I want to invite you to be part of the new table of power and influence and wealth. You're invited. I want to sit at the table with you because we're going to make big change. We're going to make the world we've been dreaming of.
Everything you said resonates with me. The story we tell ourselves as women, we're have such wonderful lives that we get to do so many things. We can be a mother, we can have a career, we can live these incredible lives. And we tell ourselves that, perhaps that's a limiting factor. And one of the things I have shared with people is my only regret is not starting earlier. I could make the time. When you find a community you trust and can learn from, you can learn how to mitigate risks in terms of
Exactly.
portfolio allocation. I appreciate you sharing so honestly the experience that you've had, I've had, and I think a lot of women have had.
Yeah.
I want to go to another layer in the
Okay.
story, which is, you've shared that supporting women founders is important to you. There could be a ripple effect from a generational perspective of wealth and building wealth and transferring wealth. Can you share a bit of what makes this work so deeply personal and meaningful for you?
Yeah. Okay, so this is the part where I love this because I feel it so deeply and I love this part of it. I have two children. I have a daughter who's currently in college and I have a son who's in middle school. I love what this does in terms of my family. My daughter, she sees me doing this and I talk to her about it all the time. And for her, she's about to start her adult working life. The idea of this being something that she's grown up seeing me do, as these kids call it, this being a core memory. I hope that as she
Mhm.
goes out into the world, she knows that she can do this and she thinks about doing this a lot earlier in her career because that will provide a greater amount of financial agency for her the earlier she's able to start. When I think about my son, he's much younger. So for him, he sees me investing. He hears me talk about these amazing startups. He hears me talk about the fact that they're run by women. This will be his baseline. It will not be the unusual thing to add on that a founder in this hugely innovative business or disruptive industry is a woman. That will be his baseline. It will be his normal. And of course, I anticipate that he will be an investor one day as well. Involving them in this means that I can talk to them about really important concepts that I think it's hard to get in other places. For example, they're learning about the value of time. They're young, so time for them is just like this straight marching line that never ends. But time and investing is an exponent. We don't think in exponentials. We think in addition, we think in multiplication, but exponential, we don't think about that. But talking about investing in venture allows you to talk about how a short period of time can compound into a huge return. So
Mhm.
just being able to get them to think in that exponential time value way is a blessing for them. It allows me to talk to them about innovation and disruption. It's real life examples of why I think it's so important for them to not be afraid to have their own ideas, to think differently than their peers. Believe that something you don't see today can exist tomorrow. These are great character building elements for them. And this is the easiest opportunity to talk to my kids about these concepts without them just rolling their eyes and not wanting to hear it. They get excited too. When I get excited about what we're investing in and the magnitude and the dollars, they get pretty excited about that. I know that there are people out there who don't have kids. You might have nieces and nephews. You might have siblings. You might have friends, colleagues. I get questions at work about what I'm doing. So there is a way to connect it to some other person who's watching and have needed that inspiration from you. I think the other side of it is I also get really excited about these founders and what they're doing. The disruption and innovation that is very personal to me as a woman is amazing. They're addressing menopause and fertility. These are things that women experience because these things happen in our bodies. Without these founders, there wouldn't be better ways to deal with these life-changing events, whether or not you can start a family and what happens when you're done creating a family. They address sustaining the world we live in, reimagining how we show up at work, whole and authentic. These are things that affect women and our whole society in the long term. Can be the ripple effects that you have as a person to others in your community and others in the world. This is the part that makes me feel the most grateful, I would say.
At least I'm like scribbling so many things that you're saying here that are so insightful. One of the things that I love about you as, a investor alongside you and as a friend is your energy. You just light up when you talk about this. And I can imagine your kids just absorbing this. We share about being parents and you're
Mhm.
making me think of one day, I have boy girl twins and I was talking about investing in something and the two of them, a boy and a girl,
Mhm.
started asking questions. What do you mean? You own the stock or you're investing in as a VC or did you buy that part? Like, what do you mean when you
Yes,
say you're investing in it? And just opening up that
I know.
aperture for them is so exciting because
Yeah.
we grew up in a world where women were getting more involved in public market investing. This
Yeah.
is additional opportunities within your portfolio that we can share to girls, to boys that see that
Yes.
women participate in this, and to our friends just talking about it. So many additional friends, married, not married, kids, without kids, really find great opportunities in it. And then I loved what you said earlier about the opportunity to invest in total addressable markets that have not been addressed
Yeah.
and creating that aperture. I live in San Francisco, and one of the things that drew me to the Bay Area was the creation that happens here. You described it so succinctly around talking about TAM. And if I could go into a couple layers of that compared to the
Yeah.
corporate world, for women listening who have had that successful corporate world experience but haven't yet stepped into the investment ecosystem, what are some of the real ways that they can start engaging and being supported to women founders right now?
So I think that we have a lot of knowledge that these founders need. They carry a lot on their shoulders. Even if you have a successful career in corporate and don't think right now is the time to invest, that's fine. You have knowledge. I would say bring your knowledge to this ecosystem. Find women who are starting businesses and offer your services. If you can dedicate 6 months, a year, 2 years to helping them with their go to market strategy, because you do that day in and day out at your corporate job, offer it up. It will be so rewarding for you. If you have finance and can help them get over that hurdle to get ready to pitch to raise their first round, they would, this could change their life. Something that you already know how to do, sharing it with them to impact where they're going. So I would say get involved, go to conferences, go to events, look on LinkedIn. You can find all of these amazing women doing amazing things. A message, an introduction goes a long way to help them with your knowledge, if not your capital.
Yeah. We've been in a couple of meetings with founders together, and it it's almost we've been so involved in our corporate careers, we don't realize this baseline knowledge and experiences that we can share in terms of, who are the key players in the industry to be introduced to?
Right.
What does innovation at scale look like? What are the things you need to do to get to that level? How do you hire the right team? These founders have such great vision and insights of what can solve the problems and opportunities that exist within that unaddressed market.
Yeah.
They are limited in time and don't have the same amount of experience. And these little gems that are just day to day from our experience are just gold to them in terms of helping them
Absolutely.
accelerate getting there.
Exactly.
And so, one last question here, and then I'll look at some of the comments. But, what do you say to women watching who are intrigued but still unsure whether or not she might belong in this space?
Okay. I love a good task list. So I'm gonna do a little
You
task
do.
list, right? Give everybody something they can check off and feel good about themselves. So I think there are 3 questions that you can ask in order to know if this is right for you, in order to know if you belong, because of course you belong. But if you want to be sure, here is the closest you can get to sure. I would say first question to ask yourself is, can you see yourself as an investor? And I have one suggestion that's a very easy, practical way to answer this, and that is find 3 women on LinkedIn who you relate to in some way. You see yourself in that woman. So it could be you're from the same place, you live in the same place, you have the same number of kids, you're the same age, went to the same school, whatever it is that you feel you have in common with that woman. Find 3 women on LinkedIn who are active investors and follow them. See what they post about, see what events they go to, see what gets them excited. If you are like that woman that you follow, then and she belongs and you belong. The second thing I would say is ask yourself, what is it about women founders that gets you energized to be in this space? So, one suggestion to answer that question is to find 3 women founders and learn their origin story. When you
Mhm.
hear what got these women so inspired that they would go on this trek by themselves, put their own money into it, ask other people for money, ask other people for help, and then keep going through no after no. When you hear what inspired them, I think you will find something that gets you super inspired And if what women founders are doing inspires you, then you belong in that ecosystem. And then I think the third question is, instead of a question that you're going to ask yourself, is you need to ask others. You need to put yourself in front of opportunities to invest, and you need to ask the questions that are important to you. So, if you're following 3 women who are investors and you're following 3 women who are founders, you will find yourself through an event, through a connection, a conference, in front of an opportunity to invest. And then you should ask the things that you need answers to. What is the minimum investment? How is it called? Can you invest with cash or with a self-directed IRA? Even if you don't know the questions, the woman you're following who's an investor, you can ask her, what questions should I ask when
Yeah.
given the opportunity to invest? And she'll tell you. When
Yeah.
you ask these questions, and if you feel good about the answers, you are ready, you belong. So if you have those 3 questions, these 3 tasks, when you're done, see how you feel. If you feel great, you belong. If you feel good, you should do it. I think that's the
And
easiest way to get as close to shore as you can get in anything in this life.
I love a good task list as well. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there that can relate to
And
it.
here's a cheat code. If you don't already follow me and Amy, you can find us on LinkedIn.
There you go.
So you've got cheat codes to go ahead and start those 2 tasks.
Yeah, this is incredible. We're getting close on time here. So, our objective was to demystify investing within this area, and your task list did an incredible job in that. And then there was a couple golden nuggets that I think you said that I want to highlight as well for folks. That in the beginning you said be curious. I think that is key within this space. I also loved that currency is also community, and so your task list really helps around the community, and you will find women in this space are very open to other women coming into this space. It's one of the best things about it. And then I also loved your like, let's remind ourselves, let's look at the facts. You're smart,
Yes.
you can manage risk, and your task list just helps you get into that information. So I want to thank you so much, Alissa, for
Thank you,
sharing
Amy.
your experience and your insight. I love spending time with you. And so it's so
Yes, I
fun to
can't
be
wait to
on here
see
with
you
you.
again at our next event. So yes,
Yes.
absolutely, anytime.
Where we'll most of all have fun. This doesn't need to be intimidating. This could be a lot of fun.
Yes.
With that, I'm just going to wrap up by sharing a few things. Reminder that our power, our wealth, and our influence as women is unstoppable. You can follow How Women Lead for more discussions and tips on how women can harness the power of investing, including how women inspire investing is related to episodes and partnerships with the Nasdaq Foundation. We also have our monthly How She Invests panel discussions with women founders. If you go to the How Women Lead and How Women Invest websites, you'll find upcoming angel and venture investing classes with Nancy Hayes. And she is just wonderful, just really helps you, whatever level you're coming in from an investing perspective. She meets you there and really, creates for you understandable vision of the opportunity within these spaces.
Yes.
So with that, we're going to sign off. Alissa, thank you so much.
Thank you.